Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we speak with small cap executives about recent important news in their companies. With us today again is Jason Allen. He's President and CEO of Virtutone Networks, trades in the stock symbol VFX on the TSX Venture Exchange, and has been a remarkable performer both in the markets and on the business side over the past 12 months. Now, for those of you who are new to the story, the company specializes in commercial grade voice over IP. That isn't for you and me at home, but this is on the commercial side. More than just lip service, the company has had unbelievable growth. In its last fiscal year, the company had $2.8 million in revenue for the entire year. Revenues over the last 3 months have been $8.45 million, $9.2 million, and $7.7 million. Those are for the month, not for the year. The company has also received several accolades, including #1 fastest growing ICT company in Canada back in 2012. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, George. Nice to be here again.
All right, so we've had you on here a couple of times. You've had some great information for everyone, and given us a good roadmap, and you keep executing, which is fantastic. So, first thing I want to talk about, since we last spoke, you announced on February 3rd, the company announced record revenues in January, $9.2 million. That's an unbelievable number considering you did $2.8 million for your entire fiscal year last year. How did you guys get to that number? What's going on? What's the magic formula?
You know, it's George. We just keep executing, and we've got a good business model. We found our niche, and like I've said on previous interviews with you, we just keep with the additional capital that we can bring into the company. We continue to grow. We went on a growth spurt in November, December, January. We held back a little bit in February to make sure we get the increase in margins, and then we're back to pushing on both revenues, and the margins will follow.
And for everyone who's new to the story, give us a 30, 45-second overview again that you're not some voice over IP company that's leasing out lines for $9.99 a month to me at home. Just explain to people briefly how you're on the commercial side and the size and the name of some of your big clients.
Yeah, so what we do is we're the guys that the large telephone companies that you do recognize, like in Canada, the TELUS, Bell, and Rogers, they don't have networks into Latin America and Africa and all these small little countries worldwide. They buy it from guys like us, arbitrators. So instead of them having a relationship with guys in Gambia, we do, and then we sell it to all of the different large telephone companies in the Western world. AT&T, Sprint, British Telecom, France Telecom, all those kind of guys.
That's a fantastic customer lineup. I got to tell you that's unbelievable. You talked about gross margin just a minute ago. So the other press release you put out was on March 3rd. You announced that the company increased its gross margins by 50%.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited about this technology. We found it, we licensed it, we tried it out, and it works. I didn't believe it until I actually saw it with our own numbers. And this is an advanced technology that I've never seen anywhere else in the industry, and we are fortunate enough to get our hands onto it. And it's increased our margins by 50%. In our industry with such low margins, that's a huge thing for us to be able to do. And I want to emphasize that with the people watching this, that being able to increase our margins, from 4 to 6, even 1 percentage point, going from 4 to 5 is a very large number to the bottom line. And that extra 2% that we've announced, those are pure net income dollars because our overhead's already fixed, and that gives us a huge strategic advantage in the industry, being able to keep those margins as high as we can, and that now will allow us to grow our top line revenues and keep those margins sustained in that 6% range. So I hope our readers and listeners and shareholders and hopefully new shareholders will understand that of all the press releases that we've put out in a long time, that's probably the most significant because it is bottom line dollars, and that is earnings per share, and that is dollars back into the shareholders' hands.
So am I right to assume, just doing some simple math, taking your January month where you did $9.2 million in revenue, that extra 2% is going to equate into an extra $184,000 to the bottom line, essentially, just for that month?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's significant. So investors can, and the market can keep looking for your monthly revenue numbers and just always add that 2%. Forget about the 6, just add the 2 and know that's the kind of growth that you're adding to the bottom line. That's fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably the most significant. Obviously our growth is been tremendous and fantastic, and with the being able to increase those margins just makes it all that much more. It's kind of like we went from 9.2 in January, but it's the same as growing into, if you look at it from a top line perspective on a ratio, we went to 15 with the same margins, but
Yep.
February we actually we pulled back a little bit, but we were able to increase those margins and actually make more margin in February than we did in January.
Yeah, that's right. So that's a fantastic feat, and so that dovetails into my next question, which is everyone's going to want to see the fiscal year performance, because your fiscal year ended on January 31st. Do you have a rough timeline for when everyone should be looking at for the announcement for your full 2014 fiscal numbers?
Yeah, we'll actually have those out in April. I guess we have until the end of May, but we've really pushed hard to get those out quickly, and we're planning on issuing those sometime here in April. What
should everyone look forward to going forward as out of the business? What kind of new initiatives are you working on, generally speaking? I know you can't provide real specifics if you've got some specific discussions, negotiations, but what are the kinds of things now the company is focusing on for the next 12 months to continue expanding its business?
Well, yeah, the primary thing that we're focusing on is our organic growth, right? We've got we go in, so everyone understands, we go in like 2 or 3 month growth spurts, we level off for a month or two, and then we go for another growth spurt. If you look at our history, that's the way our revenues go, and now with our margins, we'll follow that. Secondly, from looking 12 months out or this fiscal year, we're looking to break a lot of records from a revenue and a margin perspective, and really establish ourselves as the go-to guys in the industry from that perspective. We're gaining great momentum in the industry. We're gaining our recognition from our customers, and we want to make sure that we continue that. Secondly, as I've said before, we're looking at acquisitions this year. With our growth, there's some very strategic ones that we've been looking at, and we're hoping to bring those strategic companies into the fold this year, which will enhance our business all that much more.
Well, I'm sure a lot of those companies are going to be happy to be part of a company that increases margins by 50% for one, because I've got to assume that's unique to you and not to everybody in the industry. So that's an incentive for people to start thinking about being acquired by Virtutone.
Absolutely, it gives us an advantage over our competition in the industry, and yeah, we've had a lot of companies actually. It's a small industry. What we do is not a large industry, and we all know each other pretty well. And so it's there is definitely some people that want to become a part of the Virtutone movement moving forward, and we're happy to bring those companies in, and like I said, there's some very strategic ones that we're focused on certain countries, and we want to expand our country base, and that's what'll help us grow. So being able to go back to our major customers and saying, hey, we can provide you additional countries to send that traffic into. So we've got a big initiative there, and with the acquisition side of it too, that'll give us some key countries and key regions in the world as well.
And we've touched on this in the past. I'll touch on one more time before we get to my last question. You're also expecting just the growth of VoIP, voice over IP, just to grow on its own organically, because as we increasingly have a more and more connected world, as we increasingly have more and more people who are leaving countries to go live in other countries but want to connect with everybody back home, as business is done now more and more over international lines, you see a lot of growth in this industry over the next 5 years, true?
I do, and it's funny. I get asked all the time, isn't Skype and WhatsApp going to destroy your business? And I get panic calls from investors because their nephew, 3-year-old nephew, showed them WhatsApp on their iPhone, right? It's completely the opposite. You got to look at it from an international perspective, not what we're doing here in North America, because in Africa and certain areas in Latin America, they're just getting cell phones. You gotta, if you traveled internationally, you understand this. We all walk around here in North America with the latest iPhone or BlackBerry or Samsung S5 or whatever the newest, latest gadgets are. In remote Africa, just to be able to connect to a wireless network is the newest and latest technology. It's like being in North America, 20 years ago?
Yeah, 15, 20 years ago, exactly.
Where we went from the big bag phones that hardly anybody had, it was only let's say, a commercial use product, to, we started getting those little cell phones. And if you walk around Latin America, in some of these Latin American countries or African countries, that's what everybody has, is these little tiny, the Nokia, the cell phones that we've all had at one point or another in the past, because that was the latest technology. There's even an industry in North America that goes around and collects those old phones and ships them and sells them into Latin America and Africa. So you got to think those countries are, let's say, better part of 15, 20 years behind North America in that technology. They're just putting out those wireless networks. So they don't have Skype and WhatsApp and Google Hangouts. They have cell phones, and that means mobility minutes, and that means more calls into those areas from North America. Now, how we do it here to call that is whether we use Skype, whether we use our cell phones, landlines, it doesn't matter. To us, a minute's a minute. Skype buys their minutes from guys like us.
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not free for them. They got to pay for it.
No, they may charge you. Well, they actually do charge you per minute, but Google, they get their revenue from advertising, right? So one way or another, everybody buys those minutes into those countries, and that's where we sit, is in that is the middleman, essentially representing a lot of those countries to the large North American and Western European telephone companies.
And speaking of international countries, the last question I have for you is, just yesterday you announced that you've listed Virtutone on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. So congratulations on that. Tell us, what was the strategy behind that move?
Thanks. Yeah, we're really excited about that. Frankfurt is a great place for us. We've had just an overwhelming demand from investors and analysts in Europe. And one of the issues that we have with being listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange is it's very difficult for European investors to actually buy our stock. We're hoping to see great things from that.
Well, Jason, it looks like the theme here is growth. You're growing your revenues, you're growing your customer base, and now you're growing your shareholder base around the world. So congratulations. You keep coming on here. You take the time to talk to everybody, and most importantly, you keep executing and following through. And that may seem something that's a given for you because that's the way you operate Virtutone, but a lot of us know in the small cap space it's difficult to find companies that execute on a consistent basis. So congratulations, and thanks for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me, George. Take care.
You've been watching Jason Allen. He's President CEO of Virtutone Networks, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol VFX. You can find them on Agoracom just by punching in their stock symbol, and you get all your information from there, including links to their website. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.